Sometimes things in life, they are just exactly as simple as you think they might be. When we look at Georgia and their recent struggles to get past that first college football playoff game, I think that might be the case. And I might be able to explain that to you tonight on this edition of the How About That Dogs Cast. When you look at what Georgia has done, and I see it all the time in my comments, the last few weeks have been talking about the successes that Georgia has had recently. Last week, I spoke specifically about just what it means if they're able to make it back to the SEC championship game here in 2026. But in my comments, regardless, I had people running in there telling me that none of that matters. The only thing that matters now is what happens in the college football playoff. And in a fair point, Georgia has not advanced past their first game in that tournament the last 2 years. Now, there are a lot of reasons for this. And it's funny to me that people think this is somehow a knock on Georgia. By definition, when you make it to the playoffs, you are now going to play the best in the country. You are now going to have better competition. You are now going to play more dynamic players. And because Georgia has been so good the last couple of years, they've had that first round bye. So they've got to wait and watch these other teams go play. These other teams have that opportunity to sort of keep their rhythm, to sort of stay in step with the music. Meanwhile, Georgia, as hard as they're trying to stay sharp and focused and all those things, they're still not getting to play real live football. And I think after 2 seasons, you can look at that and say that's a factor. It matters, which is a lot of the reason that there's so much discussion around what the college football schedule should be moving forward, whether we go to an advanced and expanded college playoff system or not. I think the calendar needs some real work. Can we get it to where everybody's playing more regularly and you don't take this month-long break after what had been a dominant regular season? Is that a thing that we can do? Well, we're going to work that out in due time. But tonight, I want to look at why Georgia has not been successful, but more specifically, what it's going to take for Georgia to be successful the next time they have that opportunity. And by all measures, people across the country seem to think that Georgia is going to be in the conversation and most likely back in the college football playoff come December. So this is relevant this year, just like it was last year. Can Georgia get out there and go beyond 1 and out in the college football playoffs? Those other teams, great, you have a playoff victory, but who were you playing? Was it a team you were totally outmatching? Was it a team that you absolutely could dominate? In most cases, it was. But hey, you got the win in the college football playoff. Meanwhile, the team that was dominant in the regular season, the team that only lost once over the course of an SEC schedule and 12-game season, they show up, even if they play well, and they happen to lose. That's a knock? I don't think so. That just doesn't make sense to me. But in today's world, people want to use anything they can to beat you over the head with. So tonight, let's take a look at it. Let's look at exactly what Georgia has to do if they're going to now win a college football playoff game here in the 2026 season into 2027. What is it going to take? Well, I'm here to tell you that I think the answer is probably more simple than you may imagine. Sometimes that's the way life works. Sometimes things are exactly what they look like they are. Occam's razor. The most obvious answer is usually the answer. We like to twist ourselves up and over-digest and over-analyze everything, but at the heart of it all, there's a factor here that I think we have to acknowledge. If you look back at the 2026 Sugar Bowl, so the 2025 season, Georgia versus Ole Miss in the 2026 Sugar Bowl, what did it take for Georgia to not win? What did it take for Georgia to fail in that game in terms of wins and losses? Well, Georgia played well enough to win the football game. Gunnar Stockton played well enough to win the football game. Georgia put 30 plus points on the board offensively. That should win you a football game. But it was in key moments that the plays were made. And in this instance, it wasn't a Georgia Bulldog making those plays. Because in a game where you fake a punt and are successful, you're not supposed to lose. In a game where you get a scoop and score defensive touchdown, you're not supposed to lose. In a game you score 30 points, you probably shouldn't lose. In a game where you have free runners as blitzers, have the perfect defenses called, and yet you still get beat, I mean, you're not supposed to lose. You're not supposed to get beat right there. But that's exactly what happened. So what did it take? It took stellar performances by several players on the Ole Miss Rebels football team and a nuclear performance from the name that's on everybody's lips heading into the 2026 season. That's Trinidad Chambliss. And it took Georgia's defense not making plays in key moments when they had the opportunity, not finishing with a sack, not staying behind the deepest receiver, right? So Georgia had a hand in it too. But if we really drill down to it, the thing that made the difference in that game, and the thing that's going to make the difference once you get to that level of competition, once you get to that realm of this is the college football playoff and everybody is as good as we are, or at least everybody has a chance to beat us. Once you're on that stage, it comes back to always what it comes back to. And that is, it's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes. And that night, Ole Miss had their Jimmies and Joes make a play or two more than Georgia did. That's what it came down to. The coaches, every one of them will tell you, we can scheme them up, we can get them in the right spot, but at the end of the day, the players, they got to make the play. So when I look at the 2026 season, I ask myself, who is Georgia going to have step up and be a difference maker for them? Who must do more in 2026? Who has to be better? Now, there are a lot of players that we could point out tonight. We could look at Elijah Griffin. We could look at Raylan Wilson, Ellis Robinson. We could look at Nate Frazier, any of the wide receivers. But I'm not going to talk about any of those people tonight because I think it comes down to the two people on the team that are the leaders, the faces of this unit here in 2026. The first one is KJ Bolden. Now, why am I picking on KJ? In the same breath, I'm telling you that what KJ Bolden has done at the University of Georgia has been outstanding. He has been a great player at the University of Georgia. So much so that he's racked up postseason accolades in both of his seasons as a starter in Athens. But it's not good enough. And I want you to remember that idea because that's what Kirby Smart said this year. It's not good enough. That's what Nate Frazier said this year. It's not good enough. Everything I did last year, it's not good enough. And when I look at who could be the most impactful players on this team in terms of stepping up and making a difference for Georgia, I'm going to put that responsibility squarely on the shoulders of KJ Bolden to begin with. Because yes, Raylan Wilson came back. Yes, he's the leader in that room and the leader on that defense and on the team. But there is no one who is more experienced for the Georgia defense than KJ Bolden. He is on that same trajectory that I talked about earlier with Jalen Walker and the linebackers and how you come in, you do what you do, and then you leave and you go be a first-round draft pick. KJ's on that same trajectory in the secondary for safeties. Think about it. Georgia won national championships with All-America play from Chris Smith. Georgia had another All-America safety, Malachi Starks, who went on to be a first-round draft pick and who also has a ring as a national champion. Now it's KJ's turn. He's next. He's the most veteran player on that defense, and now he has to lead his team. Now, what he has done so far is at the same time outstanding and not good enough. What do I mean? Well, KJ has been an All-American as a true freshman. You can't do better than that. You show up, you start playing Division I ball in the SEC on a team that just played for a national championship, and you're an All-American, pretty good. And then he followed that up with a performance last season where he was a second-team All-SEC mention. So if you're coming off an All-America season, the expectations are first-team SEC or All-America. Well, he didn't quite get there. So there's clearly room for improvement personally. But it's about the trajectory. It's about the impact that you have on the game. And more than maybe anyone else on the defense, KJ is in position to now become that guy. Last season, KJ had 76 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 5 pass breakups. That is a great season. He has played really well against the run. He'll fill the alley. He knows what to do. He leads players in his room and on that defense. KJ Bolden now is in year 3, and it is time for him to level up. He was a 5-star talent coming out of high school. What does that mean? It means that the people who say these sorts of things project you to go play in the NFL. And if we look at the trajectory, that's exactly where KJ's headed. He's going to be a first-round draft pick in the NFL, all kidding aside. So does that mean that you went to college to study football, and now you're going to go into your career in the pros, and that was the whole point? Or did you come to be special and do something special? And what makes the difference in which one of those kinds of people you are? Well, it's you taking your game from someone who is doing an outstanding job to the next level. You have to become a maximum impact player. You have to make plays that change the game. Not just be good, not just be all conference. The thing that Georgia has had when they have been crazy successful has been that guy that changes the game, that changes the calculus around what an offense can do. And KJ Bolden has that ability, but it has to happen. He has to make it happen. Think about the kind of players we're talking about here. He's in the same discussion with a guy like a Jalen Walker or a Michael Williams. First-round draft picks, when they were healthy, absolute game changers. We can go on. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nakobe Dean, or Roquan Smith. Not just great players, not just all conference or all America. Individually, they change the game just by playing. That is who and what people thought KJ Bolden could be at the University of Georgia. And now he's got to go do it. He is in position to do it. He actually understands the assignment. In spring practice, they asked him, what does it look like? What does the group look like? But then they got around to what mattered. And that is, how does it feel going out early like you did against Ole Miss last year? And he goes, well, and paraphrasing, it kind of sucks. Hate to think about it. But I know that my legacy here as a safety at the University of Georgia and as a guy who came in on the heels of Georgia winning national championships, I know what is expected here. So he's saying all the right things, but it is up to the individual to go do it. He has to take that step and be better. He has to break through and be that impactful player that we all believe he can be. And if he does, then Georgia is going to be better for it. Georgia's defense is talented front to back, top to bottom. And I think that's also a key in how he makes this happen. Think about it. If you're able to get a better pass rush on the front end, that speeds up the clock in the quarterback's head. So now he thinks he has to get rid of the ball quicker, or maybe he's not as accurate, even if he's on time because he's under pressure. Puts the ball in harm's way. The opportunities are there for a guy like KJ Bolden to go make a play. That's what he has to do. When the opportunities present themselves, you have to make the play. He had 2 interceptions last year, but both of them occurred where the quarterback essentially threw it into his belly button as he was on one knee already. Great on him for catching the football, But if you're KJ Bolden, the All-American third-year safety at the University of Georgia, and you've got guys like Ellis Robinson right over here and DeMello Jones right over there and a very capable safety beside you, you've got linebackers and defensive linemen getting after the quarterback to speed up his clock. It's on you to make a play when the opportunity is presented. And if you do, that's how you change games. And that's how you go from being a really, really good player at the University of Georgia to that next level kind of player at the University of Georgia. The kind of player everyone remembers. What's that line from Spider-Man? Right? Something like, to whom much is given, much is expected. It's KJ Bolden. He's had all the accolades. He's been gifted with abilities that not everybody else has. He's in the system now for his third year where he is the voice on the back end directing traffic. He knows the defense. He has help. And maybe in the back of his mind, that unlocks him and frees him up a little bit, knowing that he's going to have help back there to be a little bit more aggressive, to go attempt to make this play. Because there comes a point, it doesn't matter offense or defense, where the ball's in the air and you have to decide, am I going to try to bat it down? Am I going to make this play? Am I going to go for the pick? What am I going to do? Just like on offense, am I going to throw this ball? Am I going to make this cut? There's a key moment in every play. So maybe knowing what he has around him and understanding how the defense works, maybe this is the year where KJ steps up and says, you know what, I'm going to go make that play because, by golly, I'm the All-American. I'm the guy. I got to change the game for my team here. Impactful players, not just great players. If Georgia's going to make that next move, players like KJ Bolden are going to have to do what Trinidad Chambliss did for Ole Miss last year. When you have the ability to go make that play, nothing else matters but making the play, and it changes the game. That's the kind of player KJ can be for Georgia. That's the kind of impact he can have on this defense, and that's the kind of difference that he can make in the 2026 season. But it's all up to him to go make it happen. So sometimes it's simple. Great players have to go be great. And KJ Bolden has to go be great for the Georgia Bulldogs here if they are actually going to advance in the college football playoff. Because we all know that it's harder. We all know the competition's better, but you're just as good as they are. You're in the game. You've got the coaching and the skill. Who's going to go make the play? For Georgia's defense, it needs to be KJ Bolden here in 2026. I would love it if you guys would give us a shot over at How About Them Dogs Plus. Everything we do here, plus so much more, is open to you over there. Give us a shot. $3 for 3 months. You won't regret it. You're going to love it. I promise. Now, that was defense. If there's one guy on the defensive side, it's KJ Bolden that I think has to step up. But on the offensive side, it has to be Gunnar Stockton. Yes, Nate Fraser said what he did last year is not good enough. He knows he has to improve his level of play and be that guy who is a home run hitter for Georgia, not just a chain mover for Georgia. Georgia's got a room full of running backs that can move the chains. They need that guy who's going to make the difference. For Georgia, though, the key is going to be Gunnar Stockton. He is more impactful because he touches the ball in every play. So, am I telling you that Gunnar Stockton needs to be Trinidad Chambliss for Georgia to win a national championship or advance in the college football playoff? I'm not. But I am telling you that when that moment of decision comes, Gunnar Stockton has to elevate his game to the point where he's willing to take that shot. Year 5 in the system for Gunnar. He knows how to do everything inside the system. And remember, this is Kirby Smart's offense, which was Todd Monken's offense. It's the same. And Gunner knows it front to back. He is now going into year 2 as a starter for this team, and he has been with the same offensive coordinator now for 3 years. There are no excuses about not knowing where to go with the football, about not knowing where the blitz is coming from, about not understanding what the offense is trying to do in the greater game plan scheme. None of that applies to number 14 here in 2026. Physically, he's more than gifted enough to do everything that Georgia needs him to do. All he did last year was throw for 2,800 yards plus almost 29, 24 touchdowns, and then, he ran for another 10. So he was responsible for 34 scores last year. He led Georgia to an 11-1 regular season and another SEC championship. He was viewed as third team all-conference inside the SEC. He is a fully grown man in every sense of what it means to be a college football player, what it means to be a college football quarterback. So what is left for Gunner to do it? Well, he knows it. Now he has to go do it. That's all that's left. You said, well, didn't he do it last year? Well, he played the game last year. He played the game, so he understands the league. He knows what it's like to go on the road. He's got his feet wet. But can he elevate? Can he lift his game to that next level? What is that next level, Randy? Well, you have to be able to push the limits of this offense, of the Kirby Smart offense, to the very edge and stay inside the scheme. You say, well, that sounds complicated. It's not when you're a fifth-year guy, third year under the same offensive coordinator, and a second-year starter. You know the scheme. So now it's up to you. It's your duty to take it to the very edge. What does that mean? Well, it means when there's a chance to make a play, by God, trust yourself to go make the play. Trust the guys that you have around you that they're going to help you make the play. This team leads or will follow Gunner because he leads them. He is a leader. There's no question about who they want to follow into the game. It's 14. They want to play hard for him because they see how hard he plays. But at some point, it's not just that. Rah-rah and grit aren't enough. The offense working as it's designed is not enough. How do we know? Because we saw what happened against Ole Miss both times. The offense worked as designed, and they scored over 30-plus points. And it wasn't enough. Why? Because of a dynamic playmaker on the other side. Now, again, this isn't about individual dynamicism, being dynamic. That's not what I'm saying he has to do. But he has to work inside his system to push the ball into spaces that maybe he didn't push it into last year. I mean, think about it. Think about when Georgia has been tremendously successful from the quarterback position. It's because you had guys who were stone cold killers that trusted in themselves with a belief that you and I probably don't understand fully. And then because of that trust, and then the trust in their teammates, they made plays that have made them next level. Stetson Bennett. Todd Monken will tell you himself, Georgia won the national championship in 2022 because of Stetson Bennett. What about Matt Stafford? I know he didn't play for Kirby, but it's that same idea. The quarterback who's like, I'm about to put this football right there, and I know it's going to work. Think 2007, Alabama on the road. Overtime, Stafford to Mikey Henderson. Dropped it in the bucket, game over. The opportunity was there. He made it. Now, Gunner has had his moments. Again, I'm not telling you that these guys are not great players. I'm saying if you want to not have that familiar fail that Georgia has seen in the last couple of years, then you got to do something different. And the thing that's different here is you have to be the most impactful version of yourself all the time. Gunner was impactful at Auburn. He had his moments there. At Florida, had a moment there. At Tennessee, of course. They don't get much bigger than the moment at Tennessee. But if you're talking about what is it that Gunner can do week over week, well, it's operate inside that system in a way that allows him to take advantage of everything that the defense is giving him. And then he says, I'm going to take a little more. You know what? I'm going to take just a little more. That's what I'm talking about. You have to be willing to make that next step, that next move. And if you do, well, then everything else is going to be just fine because you have other guys there to help you. You have other guys there that are going to make plays for you. It's not him by himself. Think about Aaron Murray, the SEC record holder for touchdowns and passing yardage in the conference. When the game was on the line, on more than one occasion, Aaron Murray said, you know what? Me and this right arm are going to make it happen. And he did. Big home game against LSU comes right to the front of my mind. There comes a point when just doing what you know you can do is not good enough. What you should be able to do is not good enough. You have to be willing to go that next step and do a little bit more and take what's yours. We've heard Kirby say that in his pregame speeches and other postgame comments. He's like, you got to go get it because you believe it belongs to you. He didn't say it quite that way, but you get the drift. That's what it means for KJ Bolden and for Gunner Stockton here in 2026. They have to be willing to make impactful plays when the opportunities are there. Not just be great, not just be all conference. You have to be a difference maker in the same vein as Jalen Carter or Jalen Walker or Stetson Bennett. Inside the parameters of the scheme, not going to win you championships. Not in today's college football. So it is really that simple. If Georgia wants to advance in the college football playoff, if they want to go win another national championship, because everything else is in place. The pieces are there, the talent is there, top to bottom, the depth, the experience, all the things. It's all there. Something has to light the match and be the catalyst that makes this team different. And from where I'm sitting, KJ Bolden and Gunner Stockton have the best opportunity to be that catalyst for Georgia here in 2026. There are others. But if you logically look at who it falls to, it's the leader on defense, the quarterback of the defense, and then it's the quarterback himself. Georgia has two stars in those positions. They're experienced and they're talented. Now, the difference becomes, can they do what they need to do to lift Kirby Smart and this 2026 defense to a place they haven't been in a few years? I think they do, but that's not going to be enough to make it happen. KJ Bolden and Gunner Stockton are going to have to decide that. And we just get to enjoy it. The Georgia Bulldogs are ready to compete for another title here in 2026. They're going to go into the season as one of the favorites to win the conference here in the Southeastern Conference. Then they are already, by most people, being put into the college football playoff in Penn. The question is, are they going to go in with a bye or not? Will it matter or not? Will they get that elusive college football playoff victory since the field expanded to 12 teams? As I said off the top, just because you get into the college football playoff and win a game, I mean, here's the cookie. But if you think that a second round matchup is equivalent to a first round matchup, then I don't really know what to tell you. It's going to be harder to win once you get to that round. And at that point, it comes back to the Jimmies and the Joes over the X's and the O's. And if Georgia's going to take that next step, it's going to be because players like KJ Bolden and Gunnar Stockton elevate their game and become more impactful week in and week out in making plays that actually determine the outcomes of ththese games across the schedule. Go Dogs!
Told them, how about them fucking dogs? That's what I told them.